Imagine, for a moment, the global pandemic has come to an end, and you finally put real pants on for the first time in, well, a long time, and you're taking your lover to the finest steakhouse in town. You've both decided you would put that federal relief money to good use, and tonight, for this dinner, price is no object. You both sit down, the best table in the house, of course, considering you've slipped the young man at the front desk at 20 to ensure you get nothing less than the royal treatment. And you've ordered 2 New York strips, yours rare, hers medium rare. Seems she can't handle the bloody reminder that her dinner was once a living, breathing animal. After a bottle and a half of wine and several appetizers, the main course arrives. Your pupils dilate, you stretch your jaw muscles, preparing for the impending massacre that will soon take place. You unroll your meticulously folded napkin to reveal this. Ugh, Christ, it's awful. As a man of culture and taste, you're all struck by the horrendous abortion of quote-unquote cutlery lying before you, and you're starting to second-guess yourself for so generously giving the waiter that $20 bill. The dinner slips swiftly downhill from here. Your lover leaves you weeks later. Now, out of federal relief money, and alone, you find yourself having taken up a second job to make ends meet, working the lunch shift at the very same restaurant that caused all of this hellfire in the first place. But you don't have to be alone. And you didn't need to get a second job. All you needed to get was one of these. The Real Steel Metamorph. This thin and elegant liner lock front flipper might just be the ultimate and alternative steakhouse cutlery, available in a plethora of colorways and even in 2 handle materials, mine being in black G10. You can also pick one up in anodized aluminum scales if you so please. And more recently, Indiana Knives did an exclusive run of mini Metamorphs with glorious Micarta scales. The overall design is minimalist, to say the least, being only 3 screws, including the pivot screw, to hold the entire affair together, with an additional 2 screws for the pocket clip. Sporting a very long and well-designed backspacer, I find myself really enjoying the lessness of it all. It's just clean, and as a whole, unoffensive, making it the perfect gentleman carry. Slip it in the suit pocket for an evening out. I purchased it in this semi-glossy tuxedo black, and it has come along with me to many a formal business event and wedding. The only complaint I have on the Metamorph as far as design goes is the pocket clip. It feels cheap and is anything but deep carry. You would think such a sleek and event-friendly knife would benefit from a deep carry clip to allow it to truly disappear when not in use. But I suppose at this price bracket, we can't have it all. The extremely thin and brutally slicey blade is done in 14C28N steel, my personal favorite member of the Sandvik family of steels, and it is done upright, with a full flat grind and with that lovely swedge taking up the middle 50% of the top of the blade. To my eye, it looks just like a letter opener my mother would keep in her desk when I was a boy. I think that just goes to up the overall easygoing feel of this knife. But unlike my mother's old letter opener, this thing is an absolute destroyer of all things that might end up on the receiving end of the blade. I know the term laser beam is heavily overused in the EDC world, but Christ almighty, when I first unboxed this and took it to a piece of phone book paper, I like to throw it across the room because it had just vaporized the paper with absolutely no resistance to speak of. It's as slicey as they come. And although it does come to what many would call a dainty tip, as a steak knife or more commonly a letter opener, that is honestly a non-issue. Now on to what is, in my opinion, the moment where you go, wait a minute, and it only cost how much? The action. The action is unreal. The blade is nestled between a pair of countersunk liners and a set of ball bearings, and it is an absolute stunner in the action department because of it. Even though the blade stock was wafer thin to start with, and then it was ground even thinner before shipping out from the OEM, it just drops. When it arrived Lord nearly a year ago, it was the best action I had felt on a knife outside of the Yojimbo, which has a massive blade. It really did rock my world after only the first few flips. And of course, this was also the first true front flipper I had ever purchased. Front flipping is your only mode of actuation on the Metamorph, but it does it so extremely well. The jimping along the blade is just enough to catch onto without wrecking your thumb. It really is very intuitive as far as front flippers go, and I've had quite a few. You can use the fatty tip of your thumb, the side of your thumb, or with a little practice you can use the side of your index finger, or give it the old reach around and whip it open with the center of your index finger. All this to say it is an excruciatingly enjoyable and highly fidget-friendly knife. So in between bites of that New York strip steak dinner, you can fidget away under the table as long as you're careful not to get caught by any onlooking patrons or passing busboys. In closing, I have a lot of knives, some cheaper and a lot that are more expensive than the $60 asking price of the Metamorph. And yet every time I pull this thing out of my knife case and carry it for a day, I am absolutely blown away by it. Fit and finish are spot on, it cuts like a dream, and thanks to that 14C 28N, it holds an edge extremely well, and it is a breeze to sharpen or strap back to factory fresh. And the Fidget Ability and the butter smooth action is something I would happily pay twice as much for. This thing in my mind is top 5 gentleman carry knives, at least that I've come across in all of my collecting. And if you're in the market for a fidget-friendly, steakhouse-friendly pocket knife, and you're on a budget, this is the knife for you. Get it. Do it. So until next time, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.